Everyone, this is for the YouTube people, at least this talking part of it, the recorded of the video. Those on stream, you're already here because I've already welcomed you, but I am now recording this for the YouTube people. Yo, freaky TJ Knoll is hanging on YouTube. Dude, TJ Knoll, thank you for being here. He says, you should check out Broker. TJ, I just did Broker. That was a really fun machine. Actually did that live stream, that one, I think last week is when I did Broker. I agree. Broker was really good. If anyone else hasn't done Broker, check it out. It's a retired machine. I believe it's also free right now, and it has guided mode if you do get stuck. So yeah, Broker is good. And if anyone wants to follow along with Broker, if you go to my YouTube channel, click the live tab, you should see my Broker stream from, I think it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Honestly, don't remember. All right, so you can see I did already a lot of these. So we have time lapse. I think I looked at time lapse. We have... How did I get root and not user? I must have forgotten to submit the user flag for that. TJ Knowles said, nice, completed it yesterday, and IPSec gave me some cool pointers to abuse Nginx. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but I kind of fell into a rabbit hole. I recognized the exploit path right away. Like I got access to the machine right away. And then privilege escalation, I saw what we needed to do for privilege escalation when I checked permissions without giving too much away. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But then I kind of fell into a rabbit hole of the way I was doing it. And then I ended up looking, I don't know if it was guided mode or the walkthrough, and figured out the way forward. And then I also watched IPSec's video, which is helpful. What's Jerry? Jerry says a piece of cake. Maybe that one would be too easy. I don't know. Love looks like a good difficulty. We have easy, not too easy, and medium. I think that's a pretty fair difficulty. Overgrown carrot, dude. I already solved that machine in the first 15 minutes. So actually done with that machine. We're going to start a new one. Let's do love. Love looks like it has a good rating. I haven't done it in the past. So let's go ahead and spawn this machine. I thought I did terminate the machine. It said it wasn't active, so you don't own this machine assignment. Come on, HackTheBox. What you doing to me, bro? It's offline. What? Have you guys seen this before? What weird bug am I running into right now? It says validation is offline. Although I'm still connected here. I'm going to try to do it on my other browser real quick. My non-VM browser. Maybe there's just something weird going on. I'm going to see if I can get validation turned off, and then we'll see if we can launch Love. No, it says validation is offline. Alex said he's always fighting this bug too. What? I don't get what I'm doing wrong here. It goes back to normal after a few minutes. Okay, how come Love's not popping up? There we go. Let's see if I can spawn it now. Hey, it looks like it's working. Sweet. Machine is spawning. Please stand by. All right, let me make sure I'm not missing anything on chat. All looks good here. Cool. Check out YouTube. On YouTube, I can only see the chat in OBS. That's like my main one that I'm streaming to. Let's see. Who do we all have on YouTube? We got 17 people. Cool. We have about roughly 20 people on YouTube, 20 people on Twitch. LinkedIn's always... Oh, LinkedIn about 15. So cool. Ever since I started multi-streaming, it's like tripled the audience, so it's cool. And I do that only with OBS. So if anyone wants to know, you don't need Restream.io. You don't need to pay $50 a month to stream in full HD. You can do it with just OBS, completely free. The only downside is you have to try to monitor all the chat, which makes it a little difficult. We might not be able to ping. Oh, we can. So sometimes you can't ping Windows machines because of the firewall. Let's sudo nano etc host. And we'll drop it in here. And love.hackthebox. And as you notice, I'm using Parrot just for fun. I don't really prefer Parrot or Kali over one or the other. At work for legit pen testing, I just use Ubuntu. So I just like to change the distro up. I don't have a favorite. I do like the way Parrot looks. And this is a fresh Parrot instance. I just installed it yesterday. So this is just, I haven't customized it much at all. That's the IP, right? I was pinging it before, I think. Okay, maybe I'm just impatient. All right, let's begin with our InMap scan. And I'm going to rename this tab InMap full. And we'll do InMap-P- in order to scan all the ports. And we will do love.hackthebox. Now, I'm not going to enumerate anything on the ports yet. I just want to see, hey, what ports are open? Then we'll slow down and begin to enumerate them. T5 to speed up the process, but this is the difference between a pen test and a red team engagement. A pen test, you can be as noisy as you want. They know that you're doing it. A red team engagement, you have to be stealthy. You're not doing T5 on your InMap scan. That's just five threads, I believe. So T5-V. Now I'm curious, we might have to add -P lowercase n to ignore host discovery because it's Windows, but nope, we don't have to do that. Sometimes you have to do that with the Windows because Windows Firewall will block some of that traffic, so you have to ignore host discovery. How often do I port scan all ports? Every single time, Corey. Both on CTFs in particular, like on CTFs, you'll often see like a CTFE port on uncommon port, because if you don't scan all ports, it's only the top 1,000 most common ports. So on CTFs, but even on real world engagements, when I'm doing an external pen test on a client, some companies believe in security through obscurity, and they think, hey, if I hide this service in this uncommon port, no one's going to see it. Yes, we will. All right, so what we'll do is we'll let this keep running, but we already see we have a few ports coming back here. We have SMB, we have HTTP. Let's check out some of these. We have that. That's just going to be RPC, I believe, isn't going to be super helpful for us. Let's jump over to here and let's just hit some of those ports. So if we look at this, we have 139, 135, 445, 3306, 80, of course. And I also recognize, guys, auto recon and things like that will do this for you. I just learned it manually, and manually served me well on the OSCP. So I keep doing it manually. At work, we'll use other tools, but on here, we're just going to manually enumerate these different ports to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 there. Did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do -A. That means we want to throw all the enumeration scripts at it. Let's see what is running on these ports. Love.hackthebox -V for verbose mode. Let's let our scan do its thing. And then while that does its thing, let's get our notes ready. So we can close out validation. We're done with that. And here's Broker. Without giving too much away, but TJ Noel mentioned Broker. It is a really good machine. Love HackTheBox. There we go. Shouldn't take too long on our scan. And look at that, it's already done. So the way I like to organize my notes is we'll just grab all these ports, copy them, bring them over to our notes here, paste them, make it a little bit wider, and then just for my own mind to work, we're going to separate some of these. Let's grab our SMB stuff here. We'll put SMB there. We'll also grab port 445. So that's going to go with that. 443 HTTP, interesting. And we have, of course, MySQL. So then what I'll do is we're going to make subtabs for each one of these things, each one of these services that are running. And as we enumerate each service, we'll include all of our notes in these subtabs so we can easily check, hey, what do we see on port 80? What do we see on port 3306? And we can easily click through these because we will make these sub pages of our main page right there. As we do our enumeration, SMB 139445. TJ No over on YouTube said, are you flipping between OneNote to take your notes, then going back to your parent system? Yep, you are correct. And actually, I have kind of stopped using OneNote besides when I'm on stream. The downside of OneNote, guys, is it's kind of a Windows exclusive. There are some weird ways to install it on Linux, but even on Linux, it's not really OneNote. It's just like the web-based version of OneNote in a little container that makes it look like a desktop app, and it doesn't have the same functionality. And so I recently ditched Windows completely on my work computer because I switched over to mobile. Well, not switch fully, but I started doing mobile app pen testing, and I've noticed pen testing iOS and Android apps work a lot better when you're running Linux as your main OS. I was using WSL before and it worked okay, but I was running into weird bugs. So I'm full Ubuntu now at work, and I've been using Cherry Tree, and I really enjoy Cherry Tree with the code highlighting and some of the just some of the shortcuts that I keep trying to do when I'm in OneNote that don't work for me. But this was my main note-taking platform before. This is how I passed the OSCP. Maybe I should show you guys like the importance of taking notes. If I click any of these, I have all the things that I check. This is a mix of HackTheBox Academy and Try Hack Me. So this is how I passed OSCP. I would see, hey, what service is running? Look at all the past work that I did, and that's how I ended up doing it. And then we have MySQL. And then, of course, the other way I passed the OSCP was TJ knows list of machines. That came in clutch. And I will just say that I know a lot of you are studying OSCP. HackTheBox is okay for OSCP. I mean, it's rather helpful, but in my experience, the machines that are most helpful are Proving Grounds Practice. Now, when it comes to OffSec, they have two different Proving Ground platforms, which is confusing. There's Proving Grounds Play, but that's just like hosted Vuln Hub machines. But Proving Grounds Practice are machines actually designed by the OffSec team and some retired OSCP machines. So from my experience, Proving Grounds Practice is the best prep for those standalone OSCP machines. As far as for the AD set, I've heard that OffSec has really upped their game on some of the training on the AD side of things. When I took the OSCP, it was almost a year ago now. It was last December. And so I was in the old curriculum before they updated the Pen 200. So I can't actually speak to the current labs or the current like AD training as it is now. But I can say Proving Grounds Practice was really helpful, especially if you go to TJ Knows List and then go to the Proving Grounds Practice tab. Those machines are really good prep for the OSCP. And TJ Knows just said, new list is coming soon. So you heard it here. New list coming, my friends. Let's grab this, drop it in here. Do MySQL 3306, which a few things I'll just point out. If this is a real engagement, real pen test, most of these things we wouldn't want to expose internet. Like the web servers are fine. SMB, you don't want internet facing, and MySQL, you don't want internet facing. You would have this behind something. It wouldn't just be facing the internet. So if this is an external pen test, we would actually write this up for the client and just let them know, hey, do not expose unnecessary services to the internet. But of course, this is just a CTF. So same with this, like version headers, we would report this as an informational, maybe a low. You don't want to return version headers in HTTP responses and all that good stuff. But let's begin our enumeration. What I like to do is to make a to-do list. This helps you. So when you fall into rabbit holes, once again, good training for OSCP, rabbit holes are notorious. And if you make a to-do list, then when you fall into a rabbit hole, you can look back at your to-do list and kind of pull yourself out of that tunnel and say, hey, what have I not checked? What do I still need to work through? So if we have HTTP open, before I even open the web server, I like to make my to-do list. So let's make our to-do list of things to check. So we'll do GoBuster on directories. We'll do GoBuster on vhost. We'll run Nikto. Probably isn't going to be super helpful. Nikto is a very basic web vulnerability scanner. Maybe it'll find something. In the last machine validation, I actually found config.php. You couldn't access it at all. But then once I had that second order SQL injection and file read, I was able to read config.php, which had the root user's password. So Nikto did come in handy on the last box on validation. So I can't hate on Nikto too much. We will just browse the website, check normal functionality. We'll check the source code. We can check robots.txt, but honestly, Probably nothing's going to be there. I've noticed robots.txt is usually only on very CTFE machines. What I really enjoy about HackTheBox is they have moved from like that silly puzzle CTFE machines, which drive me crazy, and have become a lot more realistic in their attack path and enumeration. So doubt there's going to be anything interesting for us in robots.txt, but you never know. So here I think are good things to start. Based on what we see on the website, we might test SQL injection or SSTI, but let's just begin with this and get some of our scans running. And I want to glance over IMAP full. Okay, so we have WinRM, looks like it's open. So there's these other ports that we may want to check, specifically these ones. So what I'm going to do now is on this main page, I'm just going to say, we'll check that later if we get stuck. There might be some good stuff in those ports, but we have a lot to do that's going to honestly probably take up the entirety of the stream for us to do good enumeration on what's already open. So let's change this to GoBusterDir. URL would be love.hackthebox. Wordless, we'll just use the classic dirbuster wordless. 3 medium like that. Okay, so we have images, we have admin already, so we have some interesting things there, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll do the same thing for vhost, so it's GoBuster vhost u love.hackthebox w. We'll use the same one. Really, the better one is from seclist if you go to discovery and DNS, but I don't think I have seclist by default on Parrot, but we'll see. Dirbuster, if I could spell. Oh my goodness. Directory list 2.3 medium.txt. All right, and let's pop open Nikto as well. And get a drink of water. Making sure I'm not missing anything on chat. GG Gaming said, can you use the WFuzz instead or GoBuster better? No, you can use either one. I don't really know if one's better than the other, to be honest. I think it's just personal preference. All of them essentially do the same thing. And look, these are false positives. I bet we're not going to find any vhosts. But we have interesting directories, all right? But before we get excited on the directories, let's just do our manual enumeration of the website and see what might be running. Let's get Cato pulled up over here. Try and intercept. Okay, so on love.hackthebox, we have a voting system. So we get to hack the election. Beautiful. We can make all the conspiracy theorists happy. Wait, I don't want to use snipping tool. Forget snipping tool. Light shot is what I was trying to use. And it's using PHP. So let's grab this as a screenshot and let's just make some notes here. If we go to HTTP here. And guys, if you want to get into pen testing, if you're not already, one of the best things you can do is get into the habit of taking good notes. Even if it's just a hack the box machine and you're not streaming it, like even when I'm not streaming, this is the exact way I approach machines and take notes. Even when I'm not live on stream, get into the habit of taking good notes. It will serve you well when you become a pen tester. It will also serve you well on certs like OSCP or CPTS. TJ Knoll said this on the question about Fuff. He said, dir search is cool for recursive web directory scanning. And Fuff. First, I'm curious how you guys say Fuff. That's how I say it because I think I heard Heath Adams say it that way. Fuff is super nice for virtual host discovery. I'll keep that in mind. I've used Fuff a few times. I always have to relook up the syntax for Fuff though. So let's do this. On our root directory, we have this voting system. A few things that stand out to me. First, it says it's using PHP. So we know it's using PHP. So think, well, there's like PHP filters we might be able to exploit if we can get LFI or RFI, things like that. We'll just keep that in mind. It's using PHP. We have this voting system, and it takes a voter's ID and a password. So on this login screen, Big Beef said Fuff is the correct pronunciation. Good. I'm glad I'm correct in that. Get LinkedIn pulled up again. For some reason, LinkedIn chat doesn't load until I manually refresh it, but it doesn't look like I'm missing anything. So on this login screen, if we can find username enumeration, if username enumeration, we can try to like brute force. And notice the username would just be voter ID. I don't know how big the voter ID is. I don't know if it's only 4 digits or something. If that's the case, we could still do this. But if there is some type of user enumeration, we can brute force the password with Hydra or with Cato's automate feature or Burp's intruder. But of course, the community edition of Burp Intruder is quite rate limited. Whereas Cato, if you get the free version of Cato, you're able to essentially use intruder, but it's called automate. So if we get username enumeration, we can do that. We can also try SQL injection. We'll do basic SQL injection first, see if we can get an error. Throw SQLMap at it. Whoops. I will just say, whenever I use SQLMap, I do like to put a disclaimer on that. I believe, and I should just double check this, I don't think SQLMap is allowed on OSCP. So for those of you studying for OSCP, make sure when you're going through a machine that has SQL injection, try to do it manually just to get into the habit of doing it so you're not overly relying on something like SQLMap, because SQLMap is awesome and it makes it a lot easier. But if you discover SQL injection on the exam and use SQLMap, I believe you're going to be disqualified. TJ Null, if he's still here, would be able to confirm that, whether or not I'm right in that thought. So we'll throw SQLMap at it on the login screen. You know, that's the main things I think of for the login screen. If it returns input, like if you log in, it says, hey, welcome Tyler. So if it returns input, welcome Tyler, something like that, we could try server-side template injection with the basic payload like 7 times 7. See if something like that works. That would be my main approach to this, and we're not even going to attack it right now. We're going to continue to do this kind of wide net of enumeration and see what we all have running here. We'll check robots.txt just for fun. Yep, didn't figure there was anything. We do have, once again, version information disclosure here. So we can grab this version information as another thing that we'll just want to check into. I'm pretty sure that versions of Apache and stuff is secure. I don't think any of those are vulnerable to anything. Okay, so from TJ Null, he said, can confirm SQLMap is still not allowed to be used on the exam. He said, I highly recommend you still use it in the new PWK labs, though, the new challenge lab specifically. Okay, thank you for that context. Really appreciate it. So we have that. Let's check. There's an admin page, right? We have images. Okay, and I'm curious on images if there's directory listing. So if we're able to upload, can we access it? There is directory listing. All right, let's make note of this. This would be a finding on a pen test report. Why do I keep opening snipping tool? No one likes snipping tool. Light shot and fire shot are better. So let's pull our notes up. Images there, and we see we have directory listing is enabled. That would be like an informational finding, or maybe a low finding, or higher if you can find something cool on it. But if we're able to upload an image and maybe bypass, let me just type this up. If we can upload an image and bypass file restrictions to get a shell, we can access it directly due to directory listing. So we'll keep that in mind. We do see that index.html.text. That is unique. That's not usually something you see. And it doesn't seem to have any information in it. Just blank. So, unique, of course. What's this? We have some sweet profile pictures. Once again, a very CTF-y machine. You might have like steganography in here, but I don't think we're going to have that with OSCP. Or not OSCP, HackTheBox. Do very basic, something like this. Might actually intercept that with burp, just to double check LFI. And not burp either, I mean Cato. Confusing, I use burp at work, just Cato when I stream. Okay, no, I assume that wouldn't work. But we do have directory listing there. Parent directory just brings us back to the website. All right, let's continue to do our wide enumeration. So we have images, we have admin. So let's check out, what does admin look like? Make sure I don't have intercept on. So admin changes to username and password. I don't know if you guys caught that. So let's grab a screenshot of that for good notes. See the username change. Admin. And on this, similar thing to up here. We'll even just copy this. So we'll keep all these things in mind, but additional things, since it actually has username, check for username enumeration. This is like notorious on WordPress. Like on WordPress, if you type in admin and the incorrect password, it will say a wrong password. But if you type in not a real user and incorrect password, it'll say wrong username or password. So you know, like, hey, I know this is a valid password, so I actually want to check that quick. Cannot find account with the username. Incorrect password. So exactly what I was talking about, guys. We have username enumeration. Whoops. So once again, let me show this again. If I do not a real user, cannot find account with that username. If I do admin, incorrect password. Now, this is something that I see in the real world all the time in web apps. In and of itself, it's not a major vulnerability unless you can script it out. So kind of our threshold for reporting this is we'll throw in Burp Suite Intruder a bunch of false usernames followed by the real username. And if there's no rate limiting or captcha that kicks in after a few attempts, generally I do 50 to 100 attempts. If nothing stops me from scripting out the attack and I'm still able to enumerate a valid user, I will report that to a client of username enumeration. In and of itself, not big, but once again, if there's no captcha to prevent me from doing that, I always check for username enumeration on login screens, on password reset screens, and on registration. And if there's no captcha on those and it tells me whether or not the user exists, you have username enumeration. Another thing I've seen in the real world is if it returns a generic error message, like whether it's a real user or not, same error message. If you do that in Intruder and then you pull up the column and look at the responses received and response completed, I've seen it before where valid usernames have a radically different response time than invalid usernames. So then I'm able to discern whether or not it's a valid user based on response time. So those are things I've all seen in the real world in real web apps. So let's grab this. And we'll say, we have username enumeration. I don't know why it's pulling me up there, but okay, we have username enumeration. The user is admin. So with that, we might be able to come back and attempt to brute force. Maybe we could use cool, I think it's called cool, CEWL, to create a custom password list. If I'm trying to think of what default, what if blank password? Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, so we don't have that, but we do know that we have username enumeration. So that's something we will probably come back to that. What else do we have? Plugins. Okay, so once again, we have directory listing. Gosh, my throat's getting bad. Been on here for an hour. All right, well, we'll keep marching through as long as my voice doesn't give up on me. Apparently streaming for, 2.5 hours yesterday and streaming again tonight isn't the best for my voice. HunterBot said over in Twitch, I recently submitted a bug bounty report for a CAPTCHA bypass for a registration page. I could create a bunch of users without needing a CAPTCHA, but my report was trash, so it got denied. Yeah, and that's really the difference between a bug bounty and a pen test. Like some of the things you report in a pen test, you wouldn't report on a bug bounty because pen test clients want a more holistic view of their environment. Bug bounties are usually looking for those higher severity bugs, but I've noticed this multiple times on CAPTCHAs. Even if a registration page has a CAPTCHA, if you answer the CAPTCHA once, so they don't have it configured properly, you can take that answered CAPTCHA and replay that request over and over again by changing the username, and you have just bypassed the CAPTCHA and you have username enumeration. Fox, I said, how did I get my OneNote tabs to show on top? I don't know, dude, default. I didn't do anything. I think there's a few different versions of OneNote, and whatever version of OneNote I have, that's just how it be. We have some CSS, probably nothing too cool here. I will say one cool tool in Burp Suite, I believe this is just a professional version, but I use it at work pretty often, is it's called JS Miner. And as you can imagine, web applications have JavaScript often running in the background, and every once in a while that JavaScript will be storing hard-coded credentials or AWS secrets, and JS Miner will help find that through Burp, and then you can review those findings. When it thinks it discovers something sensitive, it will notify you, and I use that all the time on assessments. We have phone codes. Oh, this is like phone numbers. Interesting. jQuery, that'll be standard stuff. And we could also check these things for vulnerabilities if it comes to that spot. I don't know what pace. I feel like Time Picker has some vulnerabilities, maybe at least cross-site scripting in older versions. I could be wrong, though. I'm not going to do that now, but hey, once again, if we get stuck, these are some things that we can come back and look into. I didn't mean to use snipping tool, but I use it anyways. TJ Knowles said, I could be wrong, but I thought JS Miner was a B app that could be loaded into any Burp program. You might be right. I think I got it as an extension. Now I'm just curious. JS Miner. Oh, no, you're right. I don't think you need Pro. But yeah, check out JS Miner. It's a pretty cool tool. All right, well, plugins. I don't know if any of that's going to be interesting. What else do we have here? We have a lot of stuff to look at. Includes probably nothing real cool, but once again, better to check. We have PHP files. We probably can't load these, but see this con.php? I almost guarantee you that has my SQL credentials. I don't think I can just like curl it either. Getting distracted by Nicto. Okay, it found everything I found. Can I do like... Nope, 0. Okay. I didn't think that would work, but hey, you never know. So that is interesting to note. Ah, wrong thing. And what really draws my attention is this file. Maybe these other things, but con.php probably has, once again, connection info for MySQL. So if we can get LFI or SQL injection even and file read, we'll be able to pull that stuff down. Oh man, okay. What do we got? Includes examples is a 503 error. Dist. Probably going to be standard stuff here. Yeah. Probably nothing real interesting, although admin LTE plugins. If I could click my host machine before trying to take my screenshot, that would be a good point. Some more stuff to enumerate. Actually, let's pull this down here. We can even go to the GitHub, see if there's issues in the past. I'm just going to start dropping screenshots now at this point. There's a lot of stuff to look at. But hey, if anything else, guys, hopefully this is teaching some good enumeration, like treating it a little less like a CTF where you just try to get root right away and doing a more holistic way of enumerating. So this is a demo file used only for the main dashboard. It's just like the dates and type things. It's dashboard 2. Chart.js. I already clicked that. More images. Wow. So this is just credit card logos. All right. A lot of directory listing and version disclosure that we see here. But nothing too interesting yet. Licenses, I'm not going to look at that. No, we have stats 403 anyways. Admin, checkout, plugins. We have PHP My Admin, but that's and Webalizer, but that's we're not going to be able to access it. Plugins we already looked at. Con includes dist. Okay. Yeah, all this is going to be false positives. We'll just stop that scan there. All right, that was a lot. Just on port 80 alone. Go back to this. I don't have permission to access it on port 443. Well, that's interesting. Let's go back to this. I wonder what ID they're looking for. Okay. So I think trying to get property num rows of non-object, that looks like it might be vulnerable to some injection attacks. Although, does it say that to everything? Oh, meant to turn that on. No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, let's grab this. Go here. Hack the box. Name this terminal. Make directory for love. CD love. Nano post.txt. Drop this in here. SQLMap-R. Got a 302 redirect. I think we're okay following, yeah. We'll try that first. That's what threw me off in the first one, so we might go back to that. see what happens. Post parameter voter appears to be MySQL time-based blind injectable. Look at that. I think we found some SQL injection, ladies and gentlemen. Post parameter voter as well. Do you want to keep testing the others? No. Okay, and now what we can do is enumerate databases, but I always forget the SQLMap syntax. But here's where our assistant comes in hand. Map syntax to enumerate all the databases. Oh, okay. Simple. Not sure how long this will take. Here's what I'm thinking though. So SQLMap, we can also do file read if the user on the web server interacting with the SQL with MySQL has file permissions, we can do file read. And remember, if we can do file read, we might have some credentials here in con.php. And if we have credentials in con.php, maybe there's credential reuse and we're able to access the machine because WinRM is open. So we could evil WinRM into it. Oh man, this is going to take a while. This might be a good time for a 5-minute break. I don't know about you guys. Let's take a 5-minute break. And I'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll see where SQLMap is at in 5 minutes. Sound good, guys? Thumbs up. And then I'll stream for a little bit longer after that. What is it? 9:16 my time. Yeah, grab a cup of coffee for real. Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break. And hey, if it's still doing this after 5 minutes, we can just talk to each other. If you guys have questions, I'll try to answer them. But for now, let's do our 5-minute break. I'll pull up the timer. Be right back in 5 minutes. And we are back. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my stream. Whether you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, good to have you here. I really am starting to lose my voice, guys, which is crazy, but I streamed, I think for 2.5 hours last night. And now it's been an hour and a half, so it's too much talking. I'll do my best to keep going, though. During that 5-minute break, we were able to dump all the databases. So here's our databases, and let's go ahead and take a screenshot of this for our notes. Available databases, pull up OneNote, drop it in there. So we have our databases, the ones that stand out to me. I mean, PHP My Admin might be interesting. We can't actually access it right now, but maybe once again, there's CRUD reuse or Vote System. Vote System seems to be the one that we should look at. And so to dump from Vote System in SQLMap, first of all, guys, look at Cato's fork of ChatGPT. I don't know how they do this, but the real ChatGPT won't answer these questions for you. It'll say, as a AI trained language model, it's unethical for me to help you hack stuff. It's so annoying, but for some reason, the Cato one comes in clutch for me all the time. -D. That's the other thing, I guess, on OSCP. TJ Noel, you can confirm this as well if you're still here, but I believe like the use of ChatGPT and stuff is banned. Like you don't do this. Don't do this when you're on your exam and proctors are watching you. There was no such thing as ChatGPT when I took the exam. So Vote System, tables, batch, dump, all. Oh, bath. SQLMap won't take a bath? Come on now. Why won't you take a bath, bro? The use of AI language models is banned during OSCP, TJNL says. I'd be curious, like, OffSec probably can't answer this, but I'm just curious how many people they've caught, like, trying to use a ChatGPT type model or, you know, like walking away from their computer or something and like trying to use their phone. I mean, I don't think it would be that helpful, no more than what you could get from hack tricks. But maybe, I have no idea. Oh, is this really going to take forever again? I suppose it is. Like, it is time-based. Invalid character detected, retrying. Yeah, I agree, Mitt. I feel like sometimes you spend more time getting AI to do something than you would actually just doing it, Googling it. TJ, are you not at OffSec anymore? I guess for those of you watching on LinkedIn stuff, you can't see our chat on YouTube. But he said, I cannot tell you, it's been a long time since I've talked to anyone at OffSec. Oh man, this is going to be slow. Let's see what these table names are. This might be something that offline I just like dump the entire database and then we look at it together in the next stream. Wow. Candidate. Oh, they let you go in January? Dude, I did not know that. Really sorry to hear that. That sucks. Really sucks. You were there for a while. I mean, I used to listen to OffSec podcast. You used to host an OffSec podcast, I think. Maybe not this one. Maybe it is. You're the host of this, right? Am I making this up in my head? I always use Google Podcasts, and I could have swore you were the host. Not CyberSec Inside. Yeah, host TJ Null. Dang, dude, that sucks, bro. That really sucks. What are you up to now, if you don't mind me asking? Also, you don't have to share in chat if you're not comfortable sharing either. Totally fine, but once again, sorry to hear that. We'll see. I think Rhino, where I work, we're going to be hiring hopefully some pen testers in the spring. So if you want a pen testing role, cool to have you there. Okay, I think this is honestly going to be a waste of my time. And if it's not a waste of my time, this may be something I'm going to do offline. Like, I'm not going to spend the entire stream, all of us looking at SQLMap and just staring at it for fun. We could try, let's try a few other things. So I think, how do I use SQLMap to read files? TJ Knoll says he works as a pen tester and do some contribution to the Kali Linux project. Cool. At least you're still doing awesome stuff. You should just, you should start streaming, dude. Start live streaming stuff like this. I bet you'd be good at it. Have you ever done streaming? I'm trying to think when I look on YouTube. I don't know if I've ever seen you like videos of you working through machines, but that'd be fun to see. Like TJ Knoll does the TJ Knoll list. So we could try to read some files. Oh, hey. Okay, so we have our tables. Admin is a table I'm interested in. Use SQLMap to dump the table admin from the database vote system. Thanks, Trent. Yeah, for those unaware, I'll just announce it again, guys. I have my first 8 CVEs that will be coming out soon. Did about 2 weeks of research and wanted to get 1 CVE, got 8 of them. And all the POCs are done. It's all approved by MITRE. Now it's just waiting public disclosure, working with the vendor so I can publicly disclose. Have all the POCs written up, though, in a private GitHub, and also the blog post draft done, kind of demonstrating how I used one relatively minor vulnerability to get full file read as root on a backend server. So stay tuned for that. Once I do that, I'll also come out with a video like showing the entire CVE process from start to finish. It was much easier than I was expecting. I kid you not, getting CVEs, at least getting these CVEs, was easier than most HackTheBox machines. So if I can do it, y'all can do it, as long as you have a roadmap to follow. So I'll come out with that roadmap. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to do this. If we do SQLMap, the vote system, -t admin.dump. Why did LinkedIn just bug out? Am I still on with you guys? LinkedIn just switched to the 5-minute timer. It looked like it to me. Strange. TJ Null said the real question is, are they serious or simple ones like denial of service? So a few of them are like the low hanging fruit, but no, the serious one, without giving too much away, I'm able to chain different CVEs together to go to a basically full account takeover and then file read. And I can read any file on the system because the file read was being done as root by default. So I had full pwnage of the software. We still here on LinkedIn. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened there. I just looked over at my screen and it switched to the 5-minute countdown. Maybe something just bugged out on my end. Okay, we're going to try this admin database. We'll see if we have anything interesting in this database once we get logged in. Maybe it's like authenticated RCE or something. We can get some version information. But after this, I might call it a night. I'm looking over at the timer. Been on for like an hour and 30 minutes. But we'll just see where we get. I can only talk for so long while watching SQLMap. Switch over to here. Again, some usernames. Let's check out LinkedIn. What's going on LinkedIn? What's going on Twitch? Okay, I can answer some questions. So if you guys have questions, feel free to holler them out. HunterBot over on Twitch said, how did you pick your CVE target? It's a good question. So like I said, I'll come out the video showing like the full hunting process. But what I did is, if you guys have ever used Docker Hub is a spot where you can pull Docker containers, easily spin them up. And so one thing that I've been doing is I go to Docker Hub And on Docker Hub, you can search for things, you can sort things. So I'll search for common things like CMS, for example, where you might be able to find some CVEs. Then I'll sort it by like recently updated, because I only want to look at platforms that are actually in use. And when I find a potential target, I will then take the name of that organization and Google CVEs for them to see, hey, do they have at least one other CVE? Are they aware of CVEs? And if yes to all of those, that's kind of how I pick the target. Docker Hub, I found one that was popular, one that was actually being used and responsive, and then just was like, all right, I'm gonna treat this like a pen test. Let's see what I can do at it. And of course it was web-based. That's what I do most of the time, is web app pen testing, so I'm more comfortable with that. And that's how I did it. I'll share more details once I'm able to, but that's roughly how I chose my target. Any other questions, guys? Anything you want to chat about? I'm gonna sneeze. Why do comments not show up on LinkedIn? I need to figure this out. Because I see people commenting, but then when I click the live stream, I don't see those specific comments. Hold up. Well, there's nothing to hold up. We're literally just watching SQLMap. I'm going to mess around with LinkedIn for a second. There, now the comment's there. That is strange. LinkedIn's buggy with the live stream. Maybe it's just I'm a noob at how to use LinkedIn. But Daniel said, how do you best identify false positives when using GoBuster on vhost? I don't really have a good answer, except for when I see GoBuster just kind of air out like it did before with a bunch of fake vhosts. I just stop. I don't see vhosts very often, so I really don't have a good question for you, Daniel. TJ Noel said, do you do any cloud pen testing? I do. Pretty new to it, but yes, I do. So where I work, Rhino Security Labs, we're like known for AWS. We created CloudGoat. Hey, anytime I can talk about CloudGoat, I'll do it. Let me pull it up. I have a whole series of videos on my YouTube page of me working through CloudGoat scenarios. But this is created by Rhino. It is a vulnerable by design AWS deployment tool. It basically allows you to spin up CTF style scenarios in your AWS environment. I have a Try Hack Me room. This is still loading. I have a Try Hack Me room I created that actually guides you step by step through first creating a free tier AWS account, launching CloudGoat, and then working through the first scenario to get people comfortable with it. And then I also have YouTube videos of almost all these scenarios of me working my way through them to learn AWS pen testing. So there's that. The other thing I've done on the AWS training side is Try Hack Me has a business exclusive pathway called Attacking and Defending AWS. And they gave me access for a month to live stream it. So I was able to live stream that entire training by Try Hack Me, work through their entire attacking and defending AWS pathway. And then at work, like for my day job, I've been able to do a little bit of AWS pen test in an actual client environment. So I'm still like a noob in that world, but have in the past year, I'm much less of a noob. Like if you give me an AWS environment to pen test, I can struggle my way through it and find find decent stuff. Wow, we still waiting. HunterBot said you could run another tab and try to upload a file with SQLMap. That's true, but HunterBot, tell me, you'll probably know more about this than I do. The reason I don't want to spawn some new SQLMap stuff is because of the time-based response. If I'm doing multiple SQL maps, is it going to jack up the response times and give me incorrect results? Looks like we're getting a password hash there, by the way, if you guys see that. Any new stuff coming from Paku? Yeah, dude, glad that you asked. We actually just released some stuff from Paku. Some new modules. We'll pull it up. We just released a plugin, or a module would be the better term for Paku, for Cognito that allows you to abuse Cognito. This blog post kind of walks through what it is. We have a Cognito scenario that a member of the community made, and these are the two modules that we have added to Paku. For those who are new to Paku, Paku is once again also designed by Rhino Security Labs, and it's sort of like Metasploit for the cloud. It allows you to enumerate AWS environments and then fire off modules, try to do like automatic privilege escalation, similar to Metasploit with these plugin modules, and community members add to it as well. So yeah, Paku's cool. Once again, I have some limited experience with Paku, and things like Scout Suite is what I'll use for actual assessments, as well as Paku for looking at privilege escalation and things like that. But that's the newest thing of Paku. So yeah, exciting stuff. And really cool place to work, guys. If you're ever looking for a job and Rhino's hiring, come work with us. We are... Oh, invalid character detected. It's not going to like this hash. We'll see if it doesn't give me a good hash. You might have some issues here. Anyways, Rhino's a sweet place to work. We are fully remote, no travel required unless you want to do on-site engagements. The only thing like we travel for is we all go to DEF CON in Vegas every year, and that's kind of like our Rhino in-person get-together is DEF CON. Other than Paku and Scout Suite, TJ Knowles asking, are there any other cloud pen testing tools used to enumerate Azure services? If you do not know, it's okay. Just trying to pick your brain. Yeah, I don't know, actually. So I don't do much with Azure at all. We actually at Rhino, we just really started getting to Azure and offering Azure pen testing, but that's right now being kind of formed by senior pen testers figuring out what that looks like. I personally haven't done much with Azure besides like looking at like Azure Hound and some of the vulnerable like Azure Goat, which is kind of like Cloud Goat but on the Azure side. But I don't know a whole lot about Azure. What I do know is it seems to be more secure out of the box than AWS, but I haven't done any Azure pen testing. Oh man, guys, I'm not sure. I'm not sure here. There's only so much we can do on live stream while watching SQLMap. And even this hash is taking some time. What I could do, I'm going to cheat a little bit because we are streaming. And I don't feel like looking at this. If I'm going to look at the write-up, but we're going to be very careful because I know we're just starting. I don't want to see something I don't want to see. So let's try to do this together and just see if I'm doing the right thing, because I'm okay with rabbit holes, but not SQLMap rabbit holes that are going to take forever to actually get anywhere. Don't look. Close your eyes, guys. Okay. Hope you guys close your eyes. We have, okay, Apache, SMB, MySQL. Also, AB, unrecognized service. Okay, that's what I was thinking, guys. So if you heard me say this, I was saying, hey, if we get access to this voting system, I wonder if there's like an authenticated RCE vulnerability, and I was right. Since we don't have any credentials. Oh, there is a vhost. You guys see that? Staging.love.hackthebox. How did he come across that? Where do they see staging? Where did I miss this at? Oh, it was on port 443. Oh, yeah, it was. I just hadn't got to that point yet. I was studying 80. So we do have a vhost there, staging, which we would have eventually got to. Okay, I don't want to go too much further than that. I'm very curious about the SQL injection, though, but I don't want to read too much. Oh, there's a file scanning. I don't know. I don't want to keep reading. I want to discover that stuff on my own. But what that tells me is this might be a rabbit hole The SQL injection. If anyone's done this machine, let me know if this is a rabbit hole. So I don't want to waste all of our time on stream doing this. And honestly, I might just call it a night at this point, guys. We've done some good enumeration. I've been talking too long between yesterday and today. I'm at Overgrown Carrot says I got in through SSRF. Okay, so I bet on that file upload feature, there's probably some SSRF stuff. You guys saying this is a rabbit hole? All right. Well, this is a rabbit hole. That sucks. But we learned, so rabbit holes aren't always bad. All right, this is probably a rabbit hole. But here's wins. I'm going to count these as wins. I manually discovered SQL injection by doing a single quote, and it returned an error message, and that told me, hey, there is SQL injection going on here. So I was able to use that, and then I was able to use SQLMap to enumerate it, figure out it's MySQL. I was able to dump the databases, enumerate the tables. I'm dumping the admin table right now. But I still think, although this is a rabbit hole, I mean, I wonder if it's a unintentional way in, because if we're able to crack this hash, if it actually comes out properly, like the admin hash, we would be authenticated to the vote system. And if there's authenticated RCE, maybe this is another way in. I have no idea. I'm going to let this run even when I'm not on stream. But once again, rabbit holes aren't always bad. We learn some good things in the process, and that's all just the joy of CTFs and the joy of hacking and research and learning and digging into things. But guys, between last night and tonight, we're almost at 2 hours. Last night, I think, was 2.5 hours. So I'm at almost 5 hours of talking in 2 days, plus, you know, all the talking, hanging out with my kids, my wife, and work. So I need to rest my voice before my voice gives out, but really do appreciate all of you taking the time to hang out with me, to stumble through this machine together. The next time I stream, we will just pick up where we left off and see if we can get any further. We'll make sure we add staging. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab that for my notes. I'm just going to add it here. Don't forget to add staging.love.hackthebox from port 443. All right, we'll put that there so we don't forget next time we're on stream. As far as my streaming schedule, I'm not sure what it will look like next week with Thanksgiving. I did say I have it all off from work, so I will stream occasionally. Just don't know if I'll stream like on Wednesday night or what that will look like. So there's that. And then also, if you guys haven't seen, I'm one of the official walkthrough people for Try Hack Me's Advent of Cyber, so I also need to get that recorded. I have access to all of Advent of Cyber ahead of time, which is so exciting, and access to my day specifically, so I need to get that recorded, that video edited, and get all that ready for Try Hack Me. And then when Advent of Cyber does kick off, guys, I will live stream each one of those days just like this, working through a black box live approach, and we can do Advent of Cyber together. But one of those days will be, I will be doing the official walkthrough, pre-recorded, all that good stuff. So look forward to that. We have this hash. I'll keep allowing this to run to see if this is unintentional, but we'll dive into this more on the next stream. Once again, thank you guys for hanging out here. I want to give a special thank you to TJ Knoll for taking the time to stop in and sharing some wisdom with us. And the rest of you guys who are always here, thank you for being here. I will catch you guys in the next time. Peace out, y'all.